In the quaint town of Hawkinsville, Georgia, a child was born in 1974 who would grow up to leave an indelible mark on her community. Tara Grinstead, with her bright eyes and boundless ambition, was not just any girl. She was a beacon of hope and inspiration. Her early years were marked by a blend of typical small-town life and her extraordinary pursuits. Tara found her passion in beauty pageants, a pursuit that not only showcased her natural grace, but also fueled her dreams of a better future. As she gracefully walked the stage, adorned in elegant gowns that sparkled under the stage lights, Tara wasn't just competing for crowns. She was inching closer to her ultimate goal, a quality education. Each win, each applause, was a step toward her college fund. Her determination was unwavering, her focus laser-sharp. The pageants were more than competitions. They were stepping stones to her greater aspirations. With the determination of someone far beyond her years, Tara eventually graduated from college, her eyes set on an even loftier goal. She pursued and obtained a master's degree in education, a testament to her belief in the transformative power of knowledge. Her academic journey was a reflection of her inner strength and her commitment to not just bettering herself, but also to empowering others through education. Settling into her role as a history teacher in Ocilla, Georgia, Tara found her calling. She was not merely imparting historical facts. She was inspiring young minds, encouraging them to dream big and work hard, just as she had. In her classroom, history was not just about the past. It was a window to the future, a tool to understand the world and one's place in it. Tara's life in Ocilla was a harmonious blend of the professional and the personal. She was respected and adored by her colleagues and students alike. Her radiant smile and nurturing demeanor made her more than just a teacher. She was a mentor, a role model, a guiding light. In the quiet, rhythmic flow of small-town life, Tara Grinstead was a shining star, her life a tapestry of hope, hard work, and endless possibilities. But as the town slept under the starlit Georgia sky, unaware, the tapestry was about to unravel, and Tara's story was about to take a dark, unforeseen turn. October 2005 in Ocilla was a time of vibrant autumnal colors, a period when the community was gearing up for the festive season. Tara Grinstead was at the heart of this seasonal spirit, her days brimming with the enthusiasm of a beloved teacher and a mentor. She had spent that fateful Saturday assisting her students with the final touches for the upcoming local beauty pageant, channeling her own pageant experience to inspire and guide them. Her dedication was palpable, her commitment to her students unwavering. As evening approached, Tara switched from her role as a mentor to rejoin her circle of friends. She attended a barbecue, a common gathering that symbolized the close-knit nature of Ocilla. Laughter and stories filled the air, with Tara at the center, her laughter the loudest, her smile the brightest. The night was a typical reflection of small-town camaraderie, but it held an undercurrent of the unexpected. Returning home around 11 p.m., Tara parked her car under the familiar shelter of her driveway. The night was quiet, the stars a silent witness to her arrival. She stepped into her home, the door closing behind her, not realizing that she was crossing a threshold into mystery. That night, Tara Grinstead vanished, leaving behind a trail of questions that would haunt Ocilla for years to come. The following day, a silence hung over Tara's house. The car sat untouched, her belongings scattered within her home as silent testaments to her sudden disappearance. Her phone, left behind, echoed the silence of the town's unanswered calls. It was as if she had stepped into thin air, leaving no clue, no whisper of her whereabouts. Tara's mother, residing in a different city, felt the first pangs of worry when her usually responsive daughter didn't answer her calls. It was unlike Tara to be out of touch, especially with her family. This worry soon spiraled into panic as Monday arrived, and Tara failed to appear at school. For someone as dedicated as Tara, missing work without notice was unheard of, a glaring red flag that something was amiss. The community's sense of unease grew palpable. Friends and colleagues reached out, their concern deepening with every unanswered call. every moment of silence. Finally, they contacted Billy Hancock, the chief of police, pleading for a welfare check. The request was routine, yet laden with an unspoken fear that something terrible might have unfolded. Chief Hancock's arrival at Tara's home that morning was the beginning of an official inquiry into her disappearance. Expecting mundane explanations like a drained phone battery or an unplanned trip, Hancock was unprepared for the scene that awaited him. Tara's car was in its usual spot, but inside the house, a different story unfolded. What he found was a puzzling scene. Personal items and clothing strewn about, a bed unmade, and a phone plugged into the charger, as if expecting its owner's return. Everything seemed ordinary, yet eerily out of place. The home of Tara Grinstead, a pillar of the community, had transformed overnight into a cryptic tableau, a silent witness to a mystery that had just begun to unfold. In the days following Tara Grinstead's disappearance, Ocilla transformed. The quiet town, once a haven of serenity and neighborly warmth, became a landscape of uncertainty and fear. The townspeople, who had never locked their doors at night, now lay awake, pondering the fate of one of their own. The question on everyone's mind was hauntingly simple yet unanswerable. What happened to Tara? As the initial shock began to settle, the investigation led by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, kicked into gear. The absence of clear signs of struggle or forced entry only deepened the mystery. Tara's house, usually a place of warmth and learning, stood as a silent emblem of the unknown. The only tangible clue to emerge was a single latex glove found outside her residence. This odd discovery raised more questions than it answered. In a town where crime was a stranger, such a clue seemed out of place, a sinister hint at a darker narrative. This glove, an anomaly in the otherwise undisturbed scene, suggested a possibility that chilled the spine of the community: foul play. The GBI considered various scenarios. Was it a random act of violence, a planned abduction, or something more personal? The glove, sent for forensic analysis, held the potential to unravel the mystery, yet it also echoed the uncertainty that had enveloped Ocilla. The community's response was a mix of fear, speculation, and an overwhelming desire to find Tara. People who knew her, from students and colleagues to acquaintances, struggled to comprehend her sudden vanishing. Tara, with her vibrant presence and caring nature, had touched many lives, and her absence left a void that resonated throughout the town. Volunteers sprang into action, distributing flyers with Tara's picture and information about her disappearance. The streets of Ocilla, once scenes of mundane daily life, became canvases of hope and despair. Each flyer, pasted on store windows and lampposts, was a silent cry for answers, a call to anyone who might know something about Tara's fate. The town's atmosphere, once defined by the simplicity and predictability of small-town life, was now tainted with a palpable sense of dread. Conversations at diners and grocery stores invariably turned to Tara's disappearance. Theories abounded, each more speculative than the last. In this tight-knit community, the idea that one of their own could be involved in something so sinister was both unfathomable and terrifying. As the days passed with no significant leads, the sense of urgency intensified. The GBI, along with local law enforcement, worked tirelessly, following every lead, no matter how insubstantial. Yet each passing day without a breakthrough only served to heighten the sense of collective anxiety. In the heart of Ocilla, a storm of emotions raged: hope against hope, fear against fear. The question of Tara's whereabouts became a communal burden, a shared chapter in the town's history that everyone wished could be closed, but with each day seemed only to deepen in its complexity. As Ocilla's autumn leaves turned to winter's bare branches, the mystery of Tara Grinstead's disappearance continued to cast a long shadow over the town. The initial hope for a quick resolution faded into a grim acceptance that this was no ordinary case. In coffee shops, churches, and homes, people whispered theories and shared hushed concerns. Ocilla was no longer just a dot on the map. It had become synonymous with an enigma that echoed far beyond its borders. The GBI's investigation was methodical yet frustratingly fruitless. The latex glove, the sole piece of physical evidence, yielded no immediate answers. It was a forensic puzzle piece in a vast, undefined picture. The absence of further clues only fueled the growing uncertainty. Was Tara taken by someone she knew, or was she the victim of a random act of violence? Each possibility was as plausible as it was unsettling. The community rallied in an extraordinary display of solidarity. Tara's disappearance transcended personal connections. It was a collective wound that needed healing. Hundreds of volunteers, many of whom had never met Tara, joined the search efforts. They combed through the fields, woods, and roads of Irwin County, guided by the faint hope that they might uncover something that would lead to Tara. These search parties were a mosaic of Ocilla's populace. Teachers, farmers, students, and retirees, all united in a single desperate cause. They scoured every inch of the landscape, their eyes seeking any sign, any clue that might end the nightmare. Yet with each passing day, the silence of the Georgia countryside offered no answers. The emotional toll on Tara's family and friends was immeasurable. Her mother clung to the hope that her daughter would walk through the door at any moment, her smile as bright as ever. Her students struggled to focus, their minds clouded by the absence of their favorite teacher. And her colleagues grappled with the void left in her wake, each day in the classroom a reminder of the mystery that had consumed their lives. As the investigation continued, the GBI and local law enforcement faced mounting pressure. The community demanded answers, but the harsh reality was that leads were scarce. The small-town police force, unaccustomed to cases of this magnitude, worked alongside state investigators, navigating the complexities of a case that seemed to defy explanation. Media attention intensified, with news crews descending upon Ocilla. The town, once a quiet haven, was now thrust into the national spotlight. Reporters interviewed locals, capturing the town's heartache and determination. Tara's story was no longer just Ocilla's. It had become a national narrative, a symbol of unresolved mysteries in small-town America. In the midst of this turmoil, Tara's students took on roles beyond their years. They organized candlelight vigils, speaking about their beloved teacher with a mix of fondness and grief. Each vigil was a poignant reminder of the community's loss, the flickering candles a symbol of the flickering hope that still remained. As winter gave way to spring, the case remained unsolved. Ocilla's streets, once bustling with the noise of everyday life, now echoed with a haunting question. Where was Tara Grinstead? The town waited, hoped, and mourned, united in a shared longing for closure that seemed ever elusive. As the years rolled on, Ocilla's wound over Tara Grinstead's disappearance deepened. The case, once a flurry of activity and hope, settled into a frustrating stillness. The GBI, despite their exhaustive efforts, faced the grim reality of a cold case. Every lead they pursued, every interview they conducted, seemed to dissolve into the same disheartening dead end. The community's initial surge of energy and hope gradually gave way to a somber acceptance that they might never know what happened to Tara. The latex glove, which once held the promise of answers, became a symbol of the case's complexity. Forensic analysis revealed little, and no DNA matches emerged from national databases. It was as though the glove was a solitary clue from a parallel universe, disconnected from any tangible leads. This lack of progress was a silent tormentor to Tara's family, friends, and the investigators dedicated to solving her case. In 2009, 4 years after Tara's disappearance, a disturbing event briefly reignited the case. A chilling video surfaced on YouTube, featuring a masked man claiming responsibility for the disappearance of 16 women, including Tara. The video, with its eerie, distorted voice, sent shockwaves through Ocilla and the nation. The GBI, in conjunction with the FBI, quickly mobilized to trace the origin of this macabre confession. The community's brief flare of hope, however, was swiftly extinguished. The investigation revealed that the video was a hoax, a cruel prank by an individual seeking attention. The man behind the mask was identified as Andrew Haley, a 27-year-old with no connection to Tara or any of the other missing women he claimed to have taken. His arrest for providing false statements and fabricating evidence brought a bitter sense of disappointment. The hoax was a grim reminder of the case's notoriety and the depths to which some would sink for their twisted agendas. This incident was a devastating blow to the morale of those who held on to hope for Tara's return. Her mother, friends, and the community felt a renewed sense of despair. The case that had once been a rallying point for action and solidarity had become a source of frustration and heartache. The town of Ocilla, once buzzing with theories and leads, now spoke of Tara's disappearance in hushed, resigned tones. The years following the hoax were marked by a haunting quiet. The search parties had long since disbanded, the flyers weathered and faded, and the media attention dwindled to sporadic updates. Ocilla tried to move forward, but the shadow of Tara's unsolved case lingered like a stubborn fog. Amidst this gloom, there were moments when the case seemed to stir from its dormancy. Investigators followed every tip, no matter how small, but each proved to be another dead end. The GBI kept Tara's file open, refusing to let it be buried in the archives of forgotten cases. Yet, as each anniversary of her disappearance passed, the reality that they might never find answers became more pronounced. In the quiet town of Ocilla, life went on, but the mystery of Tara Grinstead remained a silent undercurrent, a narrative without an ending, a story etched into the town's heart, unresolved and haunting. In 2016, more than a decade after Tara Grinstead's mysterious disappearance, a new chapter in the case unfolded, one that would rekindle interest and bring fresh perspectives. It began not with a traditional investigative breakthrough, but with the power of media. A podcast created by Atlanta-based journalist Payne Lindsay. Lindsay, drawn to the enigma of Tara's case, launched a podcast series dedicated to unraveling the mystery. His approach was novel. He delved into the case as an outsider, a storyteller seeking truth, rather than a law enforcement officer bound by traditional methods. The podcast, with its blend of narrative and investigation, captivated listeners far beyond the borders of Ocilla. Lindsay's arrival in Ocilla was like a gust of wind reviving dormant embers. His enthusiasm and fresh approach to the case encouraged new conversations and reignited the community's interest. He wasn't just rehashing old facts. He was actively engaging with the townspeople, seeking out new leads and perspectives. The podcast drew attention to overlooked details and brought forward new theories. Lindsay, alongside his colleague and a private investigator, Maurice Godwin, started from scratch, piecing together the puzzle without access to the official police files. They interviewed friends, family, former students, and anyone who might have a sliver of information about Tara's disappearance. This renewed interest brought a sense of hope back to Ocilla. The townspeople, once wary and resigned, began to talk openly about the case again. The idea that someone with fresh eyes was taking an interest offered a glimmer of hope that had been missing for years. Lindsay and Godwin pursued every angle, re-examining potential suspects and scenarios. They looked into Tara's former boyfriends, her relationships with colleagues, and even the troubled student who had tried to force his way into her home. The podcast dissected these leads, offering them up for public speculation and debate. The impact of Lindsay's work was profound. It not only brought new attention to Tara's case, but also highlighted the power of media and public engagement in revisiting cold cases. The podcast created a communal space where theories could be shared and discussed, where the memory of Tara could be kept alive in the hope of finding answers. As Lindsay's investigation deepened, it seemed at times that the truth was tantalizingly close. Calls and tips came in, each followed diligently, though they often led to more questions than answers. The podcast had not only reopened a cold case, it had reignited a community's need for closure. Yet, despite the renewed enthusiasm and the flood of new information, Tara's fate remained shrouded in mystery. The podcast had stirred the waters, but the depths of truth were still to be plumbed. Ocilla, once again in the national spotlight, waited with bated breath for the breakthrough that might finally bring peace to a community haunted by one of its darkest chapters. The year 2017 marked a significant turning point in the long-standing mystery of Tara Grinstead's disappearance. It was a development that no one in Ocilla, not even the most hopeful, could have anticipated. The breakthrough came not from the seasoned detectives or the numerous tips that had trickled in over the years, but from an unexpected source, a confession from a new suspect, previously unconnected to the case. This astonishing turn began with Brooke Sheridan, who approached the police with a shocking revelation. Her boyfriend, Bo Dukes, had confessed to her a harrowing secret. He had helped his friend, Ryan Duke, dispose of Tara's body. This admission shattered the long-held perception that Tara's disappearance was a mystery without end. The revelation sent shockwaves through Ocilla. Bo Dukes and Ryan Duke were names known in the community, but neither had been on the radar of investigators or local gossip. Ryan, a former student of Tara's high school but not one of her direct students, had been living with this dark secret for over a decade, carrying the weight of his actions in silence. The GBI moved swiftly. Ryan Duke was arrested and charged with Tara's murder. In his confession, he painted a tragic picture of the events that led to Tara's untimely death. According to Ryan, on the night of Tara's disappearance, he broke into her home with the intention of stealing money to support his drug habit. A confrontation ensued, and in a panicked response, he accidentally killed Tara. Bo Dukes, his friend and accomplice, helped him dispose of Tara's body, burning it in a pecan orchard. This chilling detail brought a gruesome reality to the forefront, turning the case from a missing persons investigation into a recovery mission for Tara's remains. The community reeled from the revelation. The fact that Tara's fate had been sealed by the hands of someone she may have once passed in the school hallways was a bitter pill to swallow. The betrayal was deep, not just for her family and friends, but for the entire town that had held on to the hope of finding her alive. As the legal proceedings against Ryan Duke commenced, the town of Ocilla grappled with mixed emotions. There was relief that the mystery was finally solved, but it was overshadowed by the grief and horror of the circumstances surrounding Tara's death. The truth, long sought after, was more painful than many had imagined. For Tara's family, the confession brought a semblance of closure, but also a profound sense of loss. The vibrant, caring teacher and beauty queen they had known was reduced to memories and a tragic tale. The revelation did little to ease the pain of their 12-year wait for answers. The town of Ocilla, forever changed by the saga of Tara Grinstead, faced the reality of the evil that had lurked in its midst. The case, once a topic of national intrigue, became a local tragedy, a story of a life cut short and a community forever scared. The revelation of Ryan Duke's involvement in Tara Grinstead's tragic fate ushered in a new phase of the saga, a complex legal journey riddled with delays, legal intricacies, and a community's desperate need for closure. As the case moved through the judicial system, Ocilla's residents found themselves grappling with a mix of emotions: relief at the progress, yet dismayed by the slow wheels of justice. Ryan Duke's trial became a focal point in the community. Each hearing, each motion, was followed closely, as if the town's collective healing hinged on the outcome. The proceedings, however, were not straightforward. The defense's strategy involved numerous motions and appeals, exploiting every legal avenue to delay the inevitable. This tactic was not uncommon in high-profile cases, but for the people of Ocilla, it was a frustrating prolongation of a chapter they desperately wanted to close. The complexity of the case was compounded by the involvement of Bo Dukes, whose role in the aftermath of Tara's death was equally significant. His trial for covering up the crime, though separate from Ryan's, was intrinsically linked to the same tragic event. Bo's sentencing to 25 years for his part in concealing Tara's murder was a partial closure, but the main question, what exactly happened on that fateful night, remained partly unanswered. As the trials progressed, Ocilla's community found itself divided between a desire for swift justice and an understanding of the legal process's complexities. Some found solace in the fact that those responsible were being held accountable, while others were frustrated by the lack of a full resolution and the slow pace of the proceedings. For Tara's family and friends, the trials were a painful yet necessary ordeal. Each court session was a stark reminder of their loss, a tragedy replayed in the somber setting of a courtroom. The proceedings did bring some facts to light, but they also opened up new wounds, revealing the grim details of Tara's last moments. The legal labyrinth also highlighted the broader issues of crime and punishment in small-town America. The case of Tara Grinstead was not just a story of a heinous crime, but also a commentary on the criminal justice system's workings. It underscored the challenges faced by law enforcement in small communities and the complexities involved in prosecuting a case that had grown cold over a decade. Amidst the legal proceedings, Ocilla's residents continued their lives, but the shadow of the trial hung over the town. The coffee shops, churches, and schools were abuzz with discussions about the latest developments. The case had become a part of the town's identity, a story intertwined with its very fabric. As the saga continued, with Ryan Duke's trial still pending, the community held its breath, awaiting a final resolution. The hope was that the end of the legal journey would bring some semblance of peace to Tara's loved ones and allow the town to finally move forward from a tragedy that had defined it for too long. As the trials and legal proceedings slowly moved forward, the people of Ocilla found themselves in a period of reflection and reckoning. The revelation of what happened to Tara Grinstead had opened old wounds, but it also allowed the community to confront the harsh realities they had long speculated about. This chapter of Tara's story was about grappling with the weight of truth and the power of memory. For the residents of Ocilla, Tara's case was no longer just a mystery. It was a real-life tragedy that had unfolded in their midst. The truth about her demise brought a heavy heart to the community. People remembered Tara not just for how she died, but for how she lived. As a vibrant teacher, a beauty queen, a beloved daughter and friend. Her legacy was kept alive in the memories of those who knew her and even those who only knew of her. In the schools where Tara once taught, her influence lingered. Teachers spoke of her passion for education and her dedication to her students. She had left an indelible mark on the lives of many young people, inspiring them to pursue their dreams with the same fervor she had shown. Her absence was a gap that could never be filled, but her spirit continued to inspire. The legal developments also led to a broader conversation within the community about safety, trust, and the fragility of small-town serenity. The realization that such a heinous crime could occur in their close-knit town shattered many residents' sense of security. It prompted discussions on how to protect one another and how to foster a community where such tragedies could be prevented. Tara's family, bearing the brunt of the tragedy, found some solace in the community's support. The trials, though painful, provided them with some answers, though no answer could ever suffice for the loss of Tara. They focused on preserving her memory, ensuring that her life was remembered as much more than its tragic end. As the town continued to process the revelations, the media attention that once swarmed Ocilla began to fade. The national interest waned, but for the residents, the story was far from over. It had become a part of their history, a sobering reminder of the unpredictability of life. The trials, with their slow pace and emotional toll, were a journey through a legal and emotional maze. While the community awaited a final verdict, they also embarked on a collective journey of healing. The story of Tara Grinstead had become a story of Ocilla itself, a narrative of loss, resilience, and the enduring quest for justice and understanding. In this quiet Georgia town, Tara's memory was etched into the community's heart. Her life and tragic fate served as a poignant reminder of the bonds that hold a community together and the strength found in unity during the darkest of times. As the saga of Tara Grinstead's case approached its conclusion, the town of Ocilla braced itself for the final chapter in a story that had spanned over a decade. The community, having been through a whirlwind of emotions, looked toward the future with a sense of weary resilience. The trials and the revelations they brought forth had been a cathartic, though painful, process for everyone involved. In the legal arena, The final verdicts and sentences brought a formal closure to the case. Ryan Duke, after a lengthy trial, faced spirit, and the positive impact she had on so many lives would not be forgotten. Scholarships in her name, memorials, and dedications became ways to honor her memory, turning their grief into a force for good. Ocilla, forever changed by the tragedy, found ways to move forward. The case had fostered a stronger sense of community, an awareness of the need to look out for one another. It also sparked discussions on mental health, crime prevention, and the importance of communal vigilance. The town's identity had been irrevocably intertwined with the case, but its residents were determined not to be defined by it. The story of Tara Grinstead, from her vibrant life to the mystery of her disappearance and the eventual resolution, became a part of Georgia's tapestry of local histories. It served as a poignant reminder of the complexities of human nature, the fragility of life, and the enduring strength of a community in the face of adversity. As Ocilla moved forward, the lessons learned from Tara's case left an indelible mark. The importance of perseverance in seeking truth, the value of community support, and the enduring impact of a single life on so many others were lessons that resonated well beyond the town's borders. The legacy of Tara Grinstead, her passion for teaching, her love for her community, and the mystery that engulfed her life and death, continued to echo in Ocilla. In classrooms, homes, and the town's quiet streets, her memory lived on, a reminder of both loss and resilience. The conclusion of Tara's story was not just an end but a continuance, a passage from a period of uncertainty and pain to one of healing and remembrance. As the final gavel fell in the courtroom, the people of Ocilla looked toward the horizon, where the memory of Tara Grinstead, like the Georgia sun, would never fade.